Hello guys, it's Shrimp time here, and today we got another English video. Thanks to your support, I see that there's a reason to make that English videos, and this is my previous video that I made about the top 10 mistakes we do when we are keeping shrimps, or speaking differently, top 10 rules that we should follow if we want to get good results in our shrimp keeping. I think that this is one of the most important videos that I ever made for YouTube because it gathers most of the common mistakes we do, and it gathers most of the questions that we've got during our experience with shrimps. So first rule, do not overfeed. Do not overfeed. This is the most important rule for me. I don't know if you watched my previous video about feeding shrimps. The most important thing when we are feeding shrimps is not to give them high amount of food, but to give them the right amount of food they need at a special time. So you have to give them food for in the amount, in the quantity that they will eat in about 1 hour. If you get if your shrimps don't eat that food, then you have to take it out of the tank and you have to reduce the amount that you are feeding. If you are overfeeding your shrimps, you will destroy your water parameters in the tank, and this will result in casualties among the shrimps. Second rule, do not forget about exporting the nitrogen from the tank. You have to remember that one of the most important things when you are keeping shrimps are water parameters, and you have to deal with that. We are dealing with a close little tank, that is far from the natural habitat of those shrimps. So when we are breeding shrimps, we need to do our best so that they get the best quality of the water. And the most dangerous aspect of keeping the right quality of the water that every one of us will get across with is the nitro in the water. In different types of chemicals in the water. We can get NO3, NO2, ammonium, these different types, and each of these type is more or less dangerous or mortal for the shrimps. But to fight with the nitro in the tank, we need to do two things. First thing, good filtration. Good cycle tank with good filtration, but from the good filtration we'll go from ammonium to NO3, and the good filtration usually won't reduce the NO3. So we have to export the NO3, and we can do that using plants, or we can do that using water changes. These are the two main ways to export that NO3. Another rule, do not put different things in your tank that aren't nature, that aren't connected with nature. This is very common mistake. People put different things in the tank that have no purpose, no more than decoration. I saw tanks with castles, I saw tanks with different types of rocks, I saw tanks with very unusual things inside. And those decorations, sometimes they can be beneficial, of course. For example, if they are made from good ceramics that don't affect the water parameters, then they are a good way to propagate beneficial bacteria, because they got special surface, another surface to live on. But many times people put decorations from different types of sources, even the natural decorations that affect the water parameters. And this is a very big problem, because again, the most important thing in shrimp tank are water parameters. Shrimps are very sensitive, so if you put things that will release metals to the water, that will really affect the water hardness, you can harm your shrimps. Next rule: hands off from aquarium. I know this is a very unusual rule, but it can be very beneficial. In my breeding practice, that is very 7, 8, maybe 10 years of breeding shrimps, and 5 years doing that semi-commercial, this rule, I found this rule very important. I try not to affect the tank if I really don't have to. It's not only about that every time I put my hands to the tank, I can put some chemicals that are on my hands. No, the main idea of this rule is that when we try to affect our tank, we are putting one decoration from one spot to another spot, we are changing the place of mosses, we are trying to find if there are small shrimps in the mosses, yeah? We affect the tank, we can disrupt the soil. For example, if we got mironekuton from Benibachi, changing the place of this rock will affect water parameters, because mironekuton wants to go to 7 pH, yeah? So this will also disrupt the water parameters. So try not to affect the tank if you don't have to. Another rule: do not disrupt your soil. This is a bit controversial rule, I would say, because there is a fight in the society, in the community of shrimp keepers, especially if in the Poland, and there are two camps. Yeah, one camp says that you have to clear your soil. The second camp says no, do not touch your soil. I think that the answer is in the middle, and it depends on the thickness of the substrate you got. If you got a thick substrate, for example 5-6 centimeters, you need to remember that due to the no oxygen filtration, and the nitrification process, there are some harmful chemicals in the soil, and if you will disrupt the soil, you will release them to the water, and this can kill your shrimps. If you got a thin layer of soil, for example 1 centimeter, you can clear the soil, because those harmful substances won't be closed or locked in the soil. Another rule: do not be impatient, or in another way, be patient. This is very important rule, but you have to understand it correctly. Shrimps, the tank, and all the aquarium hobby requires patience, and repeatable things to do. And if you do everything correctly, You need to be patient and wait for the time that the shrimps will start to develop, they start to grow. Afterwards, they will start to breed. But this rule is connected with the need of observation of your tank, because you have to be patient, but you have to observe your tank carefully as well. Because if you will be patient, but you don't observe your tank, that means that you can omit the problem in the tank. For example, high NO3, or some problem with feeding, or overfeeding your tank, or parasites in your tank, or sickness in your tank. So you need to observe. If you got no casualties among the shrimps, if your shrimps breed, if they grow, you shouldn't affect your tank at all. You should the daily routine or weekly routine you do, but you shouldn't do anything more. If you got, for example, shrimps in the tank that doesn't breed for a month, maybe it's the part of the year that they doesn't breed. But if you get longer amount of time with no breeding, for example, or if you got an unusual situation, for example, if you got a newly matured tank, the tank is fresh, you put adults to the tank, the females, males, and they doesn't breed, that means that's something wrong in the tank. The rule is that if you put adult mature shrimps to a new tank, I think that you should see eggs in about 2 weeks, no longer. Because they change the place they live, they get more space for themselves, and the water parameters should be perfect. If the tank is matured in appropriate way. So this is why you should remember that you need to be patient, but you need to know what you are doing. Being patient. You need to know some natural processes in the tank, and you need to know when to react. I think this is one of the hardest rule to follow, because each and every of us wants to get more and more shrimps as quick as it's possible. But we need to know the ways the tank will work. Another very important rule: do not add chemistry if you really don't need to. Every chemicals that you can add to a tank can destroy your biological balance. You need to remember that keeping the right water parameters, keeping the right tank going on, it's quite hard. So if you got some problems in your tank, the first and most important way to deal with the problem is to adjust the way you are running the tank. Adjust your weekly basis, your weekly routine. Maybe make bigger water change. Maybe try to change your food you are feeding the shrimps, or the amount, or how often do you feed the shrimps. Those should be the first ways you try to deal with the problem. If it doesn't help, or if the problem is really hard to solve, then you can think about using chemical products to help solve that problem. But for me, personally, I almost never use chemicals in my tank. I almost never use chemicals that should help with chlorine in the tank. I never use the chemicals that should help with algae and this type of pH up, pH down buffers. I almost never use them. Sometimes I will need to use some kind of drugs, but usually I will reset the tank afterwards, because for me this ruins the chemical balance, and I will not get the good results that I used to get after using those drugs. Yeah, you need to try keep your tank the most natural that you can. Do not add fishes. This is another rule that can be controversial, but for me, if you breed shrimps, you need to answer yourself a question. Yeah, do you want to breed them, get a high quantity of young shrimps, get the most of what you can get from good running tank? If this is the most important thing for you, for me, in your tank, there should be no fish. Fish can eat young shrimps. They can be stressful for your shrimps. They pollute the water. On the other hand, the poop of the shrimps or of the fish can be a good food source for the shrimps. Yeah, but most of the time you get more problems from keeping fishes in the shrimp tank than the benefits from it. For me, if you want to add fishes, you need to place the most possible amount of hideouts for the shrimps. In the other way, the shrimps won't be happy. They will live a stressful life. They will need to fight for their life, and most of the babies will get eaten. So answer yourself: shrimp, fishes, or you don't care if the shrimps breed, live a good life, and both. Another very important rule: do not use ceramics for your filtration from unknown source. Yeah, there are many different types of ceramics on the market, better, worse, etc. Some of the ceramics can affect your water parameters, especially hardness, and this can be a very, very big problem for your tank. In my opinion, if you want to keep expensive shrimps, like this, for example, or on the video you see, you need to avoid using cheap, unknown ceramic. You need to use the best you can get, because the cost of the ceramic sometimes will be lower than the cost of one shrimp from this tank. Yeah. So if you get wrong ceramic, if you buy cheap one and then you buy expensive shrimps for your tank, it can be very harmful. Yeah. I think that some ceramics that I can recommend, or I can say that I use in my tanks. For example, I use Ista or Oista ceramic. It's quite good. It's the cheaper one that I use, and I also use Quadrop ceramic. For me, it's very good ceramic. I got good results on it, and I haven't noticed that it will affect water parameters in any special way. Yeah, so for me, those two ceramics I can recommend. I also heard that Sikhem Matrix can be good. Yeah, but all other cheap ceramics for me is a no. Just don't try to do that, because if you got cheap shrimps or you breed Caridinas, you can risk. Yeah, but if you got expensive shrimps, you shouldn't risk, in my opinion, because it can be very harmful for the shrimps and for yourself, because you invest a lot of money, time to breed those and get those expensive shrimps, and afterwards they die, and you are unsure, but because it could be the ceramic affecting water parameters, it could be something else. And the last and most important rule that can be also controversial for this video: do not believe in every dummy thing you hear online. Yeah, this is, for me, it's the most important rule, because everything you can learn about shrimp keeping to make yourself successful, you have to learn hard way. Yeah, there are enormous amount of videos, of articles, of discussions online that says one product is good, another product is bad, one way of keeping tank is good, another is bad, one soil is good, another is bad. You need to remember why many of those information sources are created. Very often they are created to advertise something, yeah, as an advertisement, yeah. For example, even my channel is a bit about advertising my online shop, yeah, and I try to choose the best products I think are for the shrimps. I try to breed the best shrimps I can, but I'm also advertising my business using this YouTube channel. And many people, for example, make advertisements of shrimp products, and they got paid for showing this type or another type of product just to the manufacturer to sell them, and then they can be affected by that. This is one thing. Another thing is that many people can also give you informations that aren't true, because, for example, lack of their knowledge, because they saw this is the tank, it's good for a month, I got this soil, it's great soil, it's very good, buy it. No, you have to learn hard way. You need to check your information source, you need to check the shrimps that person got, you need to check the opinion, and afterwards you need to verify the information in different sources that you get. This is the only way you will be really successful in shrimp keeping. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you like this movie, and remember, it's very important movie. Try to share it to another people, because it's really important informations in this movie. Thank you for your time. See you till the next video. Sorry.